The garden's very much about the recovery process. It's the contrast between stroke, which happens really fast, and recovery, which can take a long, long time. Being outside in nature, reconnecting with the ground, with the earth, after the very disconnecting experience of stroke that I experienced as a stroke survivor myself. And sort of when I was thinking about designing the garden, I kept being drawn to these images in my mind of trees weathering the storm in really exposed environments where they kind of had to fight against the elements.
So it was just over a year ago now, so it was January 2023. And I just got back to the office and started having quite a bad headache. So I started taking myself home, just thought I'd finish up for the week at home. And as the journey continued, the headache got worse, and so I had to pull over at the side of the road. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't really work out what it was. But I felt very sick and couldn't see. So I rang 999 in the end, and I went to have an MRI, and they discovered a big bleed on my brain. They told my mum and my housemate, who were both there, that it was really unlikely that I was going to survive the surgery. So that's really difficult for me to hear now. It's really, really hard for me to even think about that. Everyone that I loved gathered at the hospital, like my best friends, my family, and they all waited there, and I survived the surgery, and that was really, really amazing, and I'm so grateful forever to Salford for doing that. Being 27 when it happened was really difficult, and sharing that with my family and friends, it was such a shock for them as well, I think. Everyone has their own experience of things that have happened as a result of it, whether that's personal, emotional or physical. I think it's really hard to capture it in just one voice, and actually it is so important to try and capture everyone's voice.
So one of the reasons I wanted you to come up here today, Mark, is that I've been talking a lot about the pine trees and the Pinus mugos, the mountain pines, being symbols of resilience. I wondered whether you could talk a little bit about them from a horticultural perspective.
It's a 2-needle pine, lovely blue-green needle. Beautiful cinnamon bark, and as you say, it's an incredibly resilient tree. We can see that standing here, the way they're able to grow in all manner of conditions, bending and shaping themselves with the elements, and resisting the elements and continuing to grow very strongly. And you can see that from the trees we've looked at here today. They've all got their own wounds, their own broken branches, but each of those wounds and breaks tells its own story and brings beauty to the plant.
So I think one of the core messages I want the garden to bring across is this idea that recovery is slow, it takes time, it's personal, which is why there are these winding paths and these spaces to rest, and there isn't a single journey through the garden. It's up to you as the visitor to choose your own way through it, and that was really important. I didn't just want there to be this one place that was like the kind of ultimate destination, because that's not the experience of recovering from stroke. There isn't this kind of end point where you're better. It's something that profoundly changes you. And the idea of the water ebbing and flowing, I think, is also another idea of the process of recovery not being this straightforward. It is hugely traumatic having a stroke, but you have this resilience. We have this resilience and we can rebuild.
For me, it's about trying to find a way to move forward, and I do think that there's been a much more resilient person than I maybe thought initially that I was, but at the same time it's not an overnight thing, it's a journey, and it's something that has taken a lot of work from both myself but also my friends, my family, everyone around me, to try and sort of come to terms with what's happened, and both back then but also how to move forward from something like that.